Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long boys blues, 1975. YouTubers on the rise, reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends. But Long boys blues, 1975.
Welcome to another comparison video, and once again I'll be taking a look at a SNES game and comparing it to the Megadrive version, although you could argue that's probably too strong a descriptive term in this case, because I'm going to be taking a look at Konami's Super Famicom version of Turtles in Time, released in the arcades in 1991, but released on the Super Famicom and or SNES in 1992. But given the title Teenage Mutant Ninja and or Hero Turtles 4, Turtles in Time, to not only license, to port the arcade game, but to bring it in line with the NES series. And I'm going to be comparing it to the Mega Drive version, kind of, somewhat. Mega Drive kind of version of this game, which is basically Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Manhattan Project, or in my case, although I never had the original, I had a repo cart, the Return of Shredder. Because while that's not really a port of the arcade machine, it's safe to say they recycle a lot of what is in the SNES game. And because it's not a port, there's a lot of people out there who say, well, you know, it's a good game, it's a very good Turtles game, it's just not as good as the SNES version because it's not a port of Turtles in Time. Well, let's find out, because I was asked what I thought was my favourite out of the two games, and whether I think one is infinitely better than the other, and the answer might surprise you. Anyway, my history with this game is simple. I bought the PAL version, which was called Hero Turtles, downtown in '92 from Model Shop, I think, but it was actually optimized, so you know, it was full screen, full speed and stuff like that, and played it with a adapter on my Super Famicom, and I'd never played the arcade game, but knew of it, but there weren't any cabinets local to me because we only ever saw cabinets of the first Turtles game. And yeah, me and my mates absolutely loved it, and we were massively into Turtles at that time. Right, so let's get into it. Basically, it uses its scaling effects to replicate the scaling effects of the arcade, and I think there are extra levels, I can't remember, or does stuff somewhat different. You've got time trial, you've got versus mode, we'll go with one player. But it's a pretty accurate port, what he said, of the arcade machine, and held in really high regard. And my god, even though it was the PAL UK version, I wish I never sold that game. We'll go with Raph, because I don't know if he's the best, he's just my favourite. Right, so anyway, Shredder nicks the Statue of Liberty. I think that's pretty much the story. This is April O'Neil, the world's biggest victim. Oh wait, is he in this game, or is that just the first game? There you go. Sprite scaling. Or rotation or something. Bring that statue back! Dude, this is like 1991. TVs aren't a two-way thing. Or the Xbox One doesn't exist yet. It's very specific, I like that. Baxter, clearly. 3 AM. Obviously, I've told it before, but we were called Teenage Mutant Hero. I'm not one of them. Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles in the UK, because all the parent groups thought, no, ninja! Bad word. And obviously, for years, Bruce Lee's movies were edited. I said it before and I'll say it again, because if you want to use a nunchuck, they were like, no, you might become a gang member or something and hurt people. If you don't know how to use a nunchuck, the only person you hurt is yourself, but at the same time, you could just go and get a knife which in the untrained person's hand you could argue is more useful. So it was just, I don't know, people like Mary Whiteheads and shit like that losing their crap because they like to complete and control others, ultimately because they're insecure. Anyway, sorry. Right, so you got brilliant graphics. The sprites are smaller than the arcade. You don't really notice it until you play it. I have got a comparison version of this running next to the arcade version. Unfortunately, the arcade version is running on MAME, but I'm running the SNES version of my Superboy S, which I haven't got a dash. Oh yes, I have. I really love, but it doesn't give a decent output to the TV, whereas this is my GXD Retro Arcade Mini, and it does HDMI, and yeah, and also the Manhattan Project. Yeah, look at that, nice touches. The Manhattan Project doesn't have any sound if you play it on the Mega Drive Mini, hacked or not. Don't know why. And also, I want you people, the button mapping on the pad building is just shit. You could argue it's the pad. I want you people to truly understand. I was sent it, but I'm in no means, you know, pushing it on you for any other reason. I think this is a really impressive retro device. Is it as good as a Pi? No, nothing usually is. But if you want something a little bit different, especially in its tabletop form as a mini arcade, you know, for like, oh, I forgot, Grang. Really cool moment. So, I don't know, like shits and giggles and curiosity as an interesting sort of party piece and stuff like that. It's a really cool little mini arcade machine, and you can add ROMs, and it runs PlayStation. But that's me shutting up now because we're doing this game. I should have mapped the buttons. I've got jump is the first button, and then punch is the second button. Oh, the Foot Clan always look so cool, but ultimately pussies and robots, I guess, from the cartoon because again, violence and shit. Right. Jump. Thanks, weird phasing in and phasing out April. Now, there's a limit to how many people are on the screen compared to the arcade. It'd be interesting to see how many people are on the screen in the Megadrive, even though it's not really a direct port of the arcade. There we go. But, yeah, there's a lot less than it is on the arcade. The thing is, it was so shiny and fantastic when it first came out, and if you never actually played the arcade, you only heard of it mentioned in the reviews and or in magazines. You never really... you thought you were playing the arcade. You thought it was perfect. It's alright, I can have as much pizza as I want. You know, I'll burn those calories on fighting evil. I know it was because it was during the dominant time of the NES, but I would have loved it. Oh, on the Mega Drive, I would have loved a Super Famicom version of the original arcade machine. Thanks, April. Now remember, kids, flies, nasty. I'm gonna Jeff Goldblum your ass. Again, I love this machine. The little control pads aren't amazing. You can, I believe, there's a whole hidden menu I found where you can add external USB control pads that don't come with it. So I need to do that. Or possibly just map the buttons. Why don't we just put some shit on the floor and let them go up and throw up on it and stuff like that, or whatever the fuck they do. And then we'll just raid his ass. Can you even buy raid in the United Kingdom? I don't know. Oh! I like the fact that he's essentially using flypaper on his enemies. Don't fuck up with it then. That could be awkward. Good. Oh no, it's still going. I love the original Turtles cartoon. There's no denying it's not aged well. Oh, I suppose. Why am I doing that? I don't need to put credits in. It's not main. Yoink. So like I said, there's scaling effects where people get knocked towards the screen and stuff like this. Not quite as good as the arcade, but in the absence of it on the Mega Drive, I guess you could say it was something tasty and delicious that we all liked. Get some of this in your life. Painful. He's a fly, yet he blew up. What he said. So, to me, this is still incredibly, incredibly polished. And fantastic. And like I said, if you didn't play it directly next to the arcade, you'd be hard pushed to think you weren't playing the arcade. Much as the thing, you know, with anything though, when you do comparisons like that, I do like, you know, sort of giving them a shit in the background. Ultimately, talking about the arcade machine, they did a brilliant job. How do you follow up something as classic and as amazing as the original Ninja Turtles arcade machine? Basically, with more of the same. I've said it before and I'll say it again, if it's not broke, don't fix it, which seems to be a big problem these days. See, the red ones are easiest to kill. Work it out. Come on, it was a joke. Oh, he says that. They got lobby shit. That music's great. Sweet. Man, you forget until you play this. Just what a great, great game. There you go. Scaly effects. Great, super polished in every department. Music, graphics, like the little touches in the destroying the background. You know. The voices, that'll be interesting to see on the Megadrive, and like the scaling. Wow, that's a lot of pizza people leave around. Were these from Dimension X? Oh, just trying to make them. I mean, he must have been able to make quite a lot of shit, because all his Foot Clan are bloody robots, aren't they? Oh, and I have to quickly say, Turtles 1, Golden Harvest, and the reason they got called Ninja Turtles in this country. So at that point, I guess it wasn't Hero Turtles on the SNES. Fucking amazing movie. Jim Henson legend and all that stuff. Turtles 2, I enjoyed it at the time, but there's no denying it's dumbed down and watered down and kidified. Turtles 3, shite. Never got to see the nightmare-inducing Christmas special or TV series, thank God. But, what's his name? Lens flare effect bloke. His Turtle movie is shit. Go back to animatronics and just use CD or something to tidy him up. Ooh. Alright. Pest control, is it? Am I dead? And they nicked that from the movie. In fact, that is the movie digitised, isn't it? Well, let's have a look at the Manhattan Project. Or, in this case, because it's Japanese ROM, Return of Shredder. So here we go with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Return of Shredder on the Megadrive, released by Konami in 1992, which is the same year as Turtles 4 on the SNES. I don't know why I was calling it the Manhattan Project. Clearly that's what, Turtles 3 on the NES, I guess, Wait, I'm tired, I just got home from work. Anyway, the intro. Pretty much the standard intro. And yeah, great. I mean, can't go wrong with this. I don't like that screen. I think that's butt ugly depictions there. But this game, there's no sort of sprite scaling there or anything like that. But this game shares a lot. Shares the music, shares the same move list as the SNES version. Your sprint is now assigned to a button, but for the purpose of this video, the reason I wanted to do it is, as I said, someone asked me which do I prefer. It's an interesting question, and at the end of this video, my answer might surprise you because they share so much in common. This is not a port of the arcade, even though they clearly have crossover moments. I don't know why Konami did not port the arcade to the Mega Drive. It clearly could have done it, only Konami know that. Did they want to try something different, or did they think the Mega Drive couldn't do it? Which I would say is pish, because it clearly could have. Anyway, this is running my JXD Retro Mini Arcade because I love this thing. It's absolutely fantastic. Anyway, the story's pretty much similar. Krang, or Shredder, shrinks the Statue of Liberty along with New York City, New York. And yeah, your Turtles, there's no time travel in this version, but you go to right the wrongs of said Shredder. Right, let's get into it. So, I mean, this game goes for a pretty penny. Like I said, I have a repo cut, but don't know if it goes for as much as the original sort of, Turtles in Time SNES, version. But by all means, let me know. Yeah, and I know I was referring it to as the Manhattan Project, and if anyone leaves a comment, well, I guess we know they didn't watch the end of the video. Which, to be fair, I don't blame them. I waffleage a lot. Let's get into it. But if anyone knows the reason they didn't do the arcade, by all means, let me know. I'm assuming it's because they wanted to kind of mix things up a bit, or thought there'd be direct, people would directly compare it and prefer one over the other, and ultimately they want to sell games. Anyway, it tells you the story. I can't read it. It's in Japanese. Your screen select there, by the way, character select is exactly the same as is the pixel health and stuff at the top of the screen. Both games, I don't know why I forgot to mention it, but you can tell that from the top of the screen, are simultaneous two-player. So some people complaining it wasn't 4, I don't know, with a multi-taps for these, but I can live without that. Anyway, get ready. Here you go. So there it is, Mini Statue of Liberty, Mini City. Everyone's in there, I guess. And wow, look at that. Wow. Cheese grater, much, but let's get into it. So, scene 1, New York. Now, I'm playing this on that horrible little pad, so I've got to work out which buttons are mapped to what. But we start in the sewers, which you could argue is more so for the first arcade game. Sprites look pretty much exactly the same, as do the enemy sprites. Moves are the same. There you go. You got run, which is on button now, with dash. It's a testament to these games when you can argue how sort of limited they are and stuff like that. When it's got so much polish and it's, licensed of something that's beloved as Turtles, it doesn't really matter, does it? Most people don't like stuff like Final Fight. But yeah, I love it. I love it. Music, more arcadey sounding. I've mentioned that before. While they're very, very similar, I always prefer the Mega Drive music just because it's got a more kind of arcadey feel and less orchestral. But anyway. It's essentially wave after wave on this. I know the first one was, but are there more sprites on screen? Is that to do with the Mega Drive having a faster processor? Oh, blast processing! Not a massive fan of that term. I'm sure there's something in it, but yeah. But yeah, look at your sprite. Animations are brilliant. They're pretty much exactly the same. Like I said, for whatever reason they didn't. Guess about your life. They didn't do a straight arcade port. Let me know. But they cross over at so many points. Ultimately, they're two. I guess what I'm trying to say is they're two sides, and this will bear in my answer, like, which is better. That's my pad flaking out then. Two sides of the same coin, but yeah. And also, again, I know it's a bit late to this, and obviously it's to do with the naming of the, Turtles 4, Turtles in Time on the SNES, but I would have loved the 16-bit version of the original arcade. I'm not saying the NES version's bad, but come on, we just would have. They look exactly the same. Controls are really tight. To be fair, you can't really compare the controls. They're exactly the same, except from dash. They're both tight, is what I'm trying to say. Don't want you freaky R2-D2 bar steward. Boom, hey, look at you, pink laser down. Right. Try some balls. I've never played it with two players, either version. Well, actually, no, back in the day I did on original hardware on the SNES, but, all my Super Famicom, so long ago I can't remember. But when you add an extra character, are there less sprites on the screen or something? I don't honestly know. Again, these are all questions you can answer, because you probably know more about it than I do. I played the original one back in the day on the SNES and loved it. Didn't play this one until years later. I think you can hit the shuriken out of their hands, can't you? And I got repo cards. Got no. That's a video of another time. I got no problem with repo cards. Lots of people do. I don't understand why. I don't want to, remortgage my house for a game to play. Yeah, and emulation things, stuff like that. But sometimes we want to have, particularly if you're a Turtles fan, or fan of any of the subject matter that's done in the repo, you don't want to pay a pretty penny. What's wrong with it? By all means, why I haven't done a video on it, I might do, like I said. Let me know what you think. But boom. It's a wave fighter. I know it is on the SNES, but you seem to progress a little bit more quickly and stuff, so there seems to be a difference there. But, alright. I need to find a way, because I've been looking at videos, and it appears you can, to, don't quote me until I've tried it properly, to connect, as I've probably mentioned already, another USB pad, a better one. This one's useful, it's not completely shit. To play it's truly deemed. And while the original Turtles game got an Xbox and PlayStation Live release, which has since been taken down, isn't there a reskinned version of Turtles 4, which I probably shouldn't be talking about now we're on the Megadrive version? The other thing I would like to mention is I got a fuck off big shell on my back. How can they hurt me from behind? Maybe with harsh language. So you got the extra moves as well. So pretty much, with the exception of, when you throw people at the screen in the sprite scaling or rotation or whatever it is, scaling I guess, I think they look identical. I know maybe a colour palette limitation on the Megadrive, but to be expected. And again, why didn't they just do the arcade and take out, or not, if they could do that effect, or they could do some pretty amazing tricks towards the end of the Megadrive's life, which granted this game is not. Just do the game without that. Hey, now here's another crossover point. New York, downtown. Oh, right, so apparently he's wearing his waterproofs, but yeah. Look at it. I can't help but think, I don't think I've noticed, to be fair, I didn't on the SNES at the start of the video, I didn't play enough of it, but there was only a massive amount of slowdown. Or any slowdown. Definitely not in this version. Talking and playing at the same time is on my bag. Red Star Trek bloke's taking a hammer. Sweet. Come on. Isn't this ranked is like, it's in the top 20 of best Megadrive games ever, isn't it? Which I can fully understand. Boom. Come on. Oh, I would love to play this with a buddy. But alas, we are all under lockdown for, Seth Luggy, we dare not mention his name. Can't tell from, these two levels because they're so enclosed. Is there parallax on this? There must be there on. Alright, come on. Life. I don't know, where does Shredder get his... Oh, I guess Krang just gives it to him, but... Where does he get his money from? He can produce a lot of tech. So satisfying. Sound effects, sounds fine. Shared across both versions. Both versions, again, mostly because it's not an arcade port. I know that insanely old-side shaped cards. It's going to try and run me over. If someone can kill these guys. Come on. again, as always though, any of the points I've mentioned, like, you know, why is it not an arcade port and stuff like that, and when I say stuff is exactly the same, you know, your mileage may vary, so let me know, right? Ooh, can I fall down the hole? Let's find out if I can fall down the hole. Yay! This cave is creepy. You just came out of said cave? US jail and stuff. Oh, wait, I was clear. Now remember, kids, you're going to eat pizza off the floor. Just don't break the 5-second rule. I guess what I'm trying to say now is, if I, you know, do I think one's better than the other? One is obviously a more accurate port of the arcade. I mean, this isn't a port of the arcade. I'm just saying there's so much crossover in it that, you know, like I said, I consider them two different sides of the same coin. Is one better than the other? No, they're so similar. I mean, if it's a case of you want that extra kind of, you know, graphical pizzazz, that's such a bad descriptive term, of the scaled sprites, then does that really make one better than the other? I don't know. But obviously you'd have to play the SNES. But I think they're so similar-ish that one is not better than the other, because both of them execute what they do in such a similar fashion that you can't really say that. The other thing I would like to say is, when people say, you know, I mean, I said, why didn't we get an arcade port? I forgot you can, no, I think I meant it, you can hit the shotgun out of the air. What I would like to say is, could you argue as well, another reason that I don't prefer one of these over the other, I kind of have more of a soft spot for this, but it might be because I never had it back in the day, that you just get a chance to play, while they've got crossover points, 2 Turtle games in the 16-bit era. We never got arcade, you know, port, so now we get this, we get, you know, 2 Turtles games in glorious 16-bit goodness. You know, and obviously there's never any decent version of Turtles on the 16-bit computers, Amiga and Atari ST, so yeah, I mean, enjoy the fact that you got 2 opportunities to play your favourite, you know, comic characters, and yeah, do I think, you know, one is better than the other? More, there's water now. You know, more of a soft spot of this, simply because I played it as an adult, and it kind of overrid, you know, nostalgia. Oh my god, I'm waffling. But yeah, ultimately, I think they're just as good as each other. I know there'll be some sort of fanboy argument, system defenders saying, well, mine's got this, mine's got that. By all means, let me know. But I think they both do what they do so similarly that it's almost like one's just an extension of the other. Anyway, long story short, which one do I think's best? Nothing. They're absolutely tied. You know, they cross over, but you get just 2 Turtles games, you know, for the price of 1. Granted, as an adult, when you could probably afford both systems. Anyway, as always, I'd love to know what you think. Which of these do you prefer? Do you think I've just talked bollocks and you can name many, many reasons that one is better than the other? Then let me know. But for the simple Turtles, you know, goodness, and having a Turtles game or adventure in glorious 16-bit goodness, hands down, they are just as good as each other. As always, I'd love to know what you think. Again, I don't know why I called it the Manhattan Project, brain fart, but yeah, let me know. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later. And I definitely recommend one of these JXD Retro Mini Arcades. I mean, check out my video to see, you know, what I think of it, initial impressions, and many of the other comparison videos I've done the Xenomorphs. I've done using this hardware. Anyway, thanks, and I'll see you later.